to the United States Constitution as specified. There's some whereases here. The framers of the Constitution of the United States empowered state legislators to be guardians of liberty against future abuses of the power of the federal government. The federal government has created crushing national debt through improper and imprudent spending. Right now, we're over $32.5 trillion. You can't even imagine that. That's $32.5 million in debt. We have to do something, and I think the states are the only ones that are going to take that up. Just for an example, if you spent $40 a second for 24 hours a day, it would take you 289 days to spend $1 billion. To spend $1 trillion in the same manner, it would take you 792 years. You can't even imagine that number. The federal government has invaded the legitimate roles of the states through the manipulative process of federal mandates, many of which are unfunded mandates. And it is the solemn duty of the states to protect the liberty of the people, particularly for the future generations, by proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States through a convention of states under Article 5 of the United States Constitution. Therefore, we're in Section 1 now, so this is the main part. Therefore, be it resolved by the members of this legislature that we hereby apply to Congress under the provisions of Article 5 of the Constitution of the United States for the calling of a convention of several states limited to proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States that will do these three topics: impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and limit the terms of office for federal officials and members of Congress. The third one would be, maybe for an example, we might limit the time our justices, our Supreme Court could serve. Were they there for lifetime? But back in the founding days, lifetime wasn't that long. So, maybe there ought to be a limit on that. Or maybe a limit on federal officials, federal employees maybe of the federal government. In Section 2, the legislature of the state of Wyoming adopts the application made under Section 1 of this joint resolution expressly subject to the following reservations, understandings, and declarations. And this is important. In Section I, an application to the Congress of the United States to call a convention of several states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution confers no power to Congress other than the power to call the convention. The power of Congress to exercise the ministerial duty consists solely of the authority to name a reasonable time and place for the initial meeting of the convention. Next, Congress shall call an amendment convention of the states only upon the receipt of applications from other states that propose substantially the same purpose of what we're doing. It would take 2/3 of the legislatures of several states to get them to make the call. That would be 34 states. Currently, we're at 19 for this particular proposal. Congress does not have the power or authority to determine any rules for governing of the amendment convention. Congress does not have the power to set the number of delegates to be sent by the states, nor does it have the power to select the delegates. The power to name delegates remains exclusively with the authority of the legislature of those states. By definition, the Convention of the States to propose amendments to the United States Constitution means that the states shall only have the that states shall vote on the basis of one state, one vote. And that's how it always has been. The convention of several states to propose amendments to the Constitution convened shall be limited to the consideration of these topics specifically and no others. Also, the application is made with the express understanding that an amendment that is in any way seeks to amend, modify, or repeal any provision of the Bill of Rights shall not be authorized for the consideration in any manner. Pursuant to Article 5 of the United States Constitution, Congress can do these two options on ratifying. They can select that the legislatures of the several states shall ratify, and that'll take 3/4 of the states, or they can say that the special state ratification conventions can happen. And that has happened, I think, only once, and I thought it was on on Amendment 21, I think, that we used that. And we have it in our statutes how that would happen. And finally, the legislature of the state of Wyoming may provide further instructions to its delegates and may recall its delegates at any time for breach of duty or a violation of the instructions provided in this resolution. We in 2017 we passed a statute that explains how our delegates are selected, and currently in that statute we specified that it'll be the House, each side of the House will select 3. And then the Senate would select 3, and that would be the delegates that go. And I can go into that further if you want in a bit on that statute.